It is exactly 4:11 a.m. local time on January 11th, 2026. The southern front of the Ukraine war is wrapped in a deceptive, freezing silence. The Dnieper River flows black and heavy, a massive vein of water cutting through the war-torn landscape. For the next 27 minutes, everything that happens here will be invisible to the outside world. But deep inside the Russian command bunker overlooking the Nova Kakhovka hydroelectric complex, the silence is broken by a series of digital glitches. These aren't alarms. They aren't air raid sirens screaming of an incoming attack. They are ghosts. On the green phosphor of the radar screens, faint contacts appear and vanish. Signal strength fluctuates. Static washes over the secure comms channels like ocean waves. To the Russian duty officer, Captain Sokolov, it looks like atmospheric interference or a system calibration error. He taps the glass of his monitor, frustrated, blaming the outdated Soviet-era wiring. Sokolov takes a slow sip of burnt coffee. His eyes sting from another sleepless shift. The river has never lied to him before. Tonight, it feels nervous. He doesn't know it yet, but he is looking at the opening notes of a symphony of destruction. The operation has already begun, and he is already too late to stop it. To understand the cruelty of this moment, we have to understand the target. 6 months ago, the Nova Kakhovka Dam was a ruin. It was a broken shell. But for the last half year, Russian engineering teams have worked under immense pressure, pulling 24-hour shifts to bring it back from the dead. They poured thousands of tons of reinforced concrete. They installed new hydraulic locks. They rebooted the hydrological control systems. By January 2026, the dam was back online. It was stabilizing the water flow, generating power for the occupation, and serving as a critical bridge for Russian logistics trucks heading to the front. It was a symbol of Russian resilience, a victory of engineering over war. And that is exactly why Ukraine waited. They didn't strike when the dam was broken. They didn't strike when it was swarming with engineers. They waited. They watched. They let Russia invest millions of dollars and thousands of man-hours. They let Moscow stake its reputation on the facility's recovery. They waited until the concrete was dry, the ribbon was cut, and the champagne was drunk. They didn't just want to destroy a dam. They wanted to destroy hope. This is the psychological warfare of 2026. Let your enemy build his house, and then burn it down the night he moves in. The Russian defense around the dam is formidable on paper. Pantsir SM short-range systems guard the perimeter, their autocannons scanning the tree line. S-400 batteries provide a deep umbrella against high-altitude threats. River patrols scan the water with thermal cameras. They are ready for a fight, but they aren't ready for a game. At 4:17 a.m., the system gets confused. Corvo aerial decoys begin to appear at medium altitude. These aren't strike drones. They are cheap, disposable cardboard planes packed with electronics. They aren't attacking. They are loitering. They mimic the flight profiles of dangerous Bayraktar drones. The Russian algorithms react automatically. The Pantsirs spin up. The engagement radars lock on. One operator hesitates. These signatures, they don't look right. But the software has already chosen its targets. Missiles are launched. Whoosh! Boom! Each Pantsir missile costs more than a Ukrainian village. Every launch is a victory for Ukraine. Every missile fired at a plastic decoy is one less missile available for the real threat. This is the logic of Operation Tidal Ghost. Don't hit the target first. Disorganize the defense. Flood the zone with noise. Make them look up so they don't look down. While the sky fills with tracers and the Russian crews are high-fiving each other for shooting down drones, the real danger is moving inches below the surface of the Dnieper River. A wolf pack of Sea Baby unmanned naval platforms is cutting through the dark water. They are coated in radar-absorbent paint. They move silently, their electric motors humming just above the ambient noise of the river. They aren't looking for a massive Hollywood-style explosion. Their mission is surgical. They target the specific stress points at the base of the newly repaired locks, areas where the old concrete meets the new. The scars of the structure. Impact. Inside the control bunker, coffee mugs slide off desks. The concrete groans, not loudly, but deeply, like something wounded. The underwater detonations are muffled, almost silent from the surface. A dull thud that shakes the riverbed. They don't blow the dam open immediately. That would be too simple. They create microfractures. They compromise the structural integrity. They weaken the knees of the giant. They turn the dam into a loaded gun, waiting for a trigger. No one in that bunker understands it yet, but the dam has already lost the war. At 4:21 a.m., the Russian sensors pick up the hydroacoustic shockwaves. The command center realizes the threat isn't just in the air, it's in the water. Panic sets in. Sensors are redirected. Cameras scan the riverbanks. The chain of command focuses entirely on the naval threat. Secure the locks! Watch the waterline! Anti-diver teams to the piers! They have fallen for the feint. They are looking down. And that creates the window. 4:25 a.m. Hundreds of miles away, two Mirage 2005 fighters bearing the Ukrainian Trident on their tails are skimming the treetops at 600 knots. They are flying nap of the earth, hiding in the radar shadow of the terrain, invisible to the distracted Russian S-400s. The pilots are not there to dogfight. They are delivery men. They exploit the exact moment when the Russian air defense is distracted by the decoys above and the river threat below. The defense network is fragmented, reactive, and confused. Launch. SCALP EG cruise missiles drop from the wings. Their turbofans ignite with a smokeless roar. These missiles don't need mid-course corrections. Their trajectories have been calculated to the millimeter by engineers who know the dam's blueprints better than the Russians do. They are aiming for the cracks created by the sea babies. They are aiming for the weak points. 4:28 a.m. The first missile slams into the central spillway. The warhead is a dual-stage broach penetrator. The first charge punches through the concrete. The second charge detonates inside. The explosion rocks the structure to its foundation. Seconds later, the second missile hits the same axis. Then, the third seals the deal. It isn't a chaotic fireball. It is a progressive structural failure. Engineers scream numbers into radios that no longer matter. The dam isn't failing. It is surrendering. It is not being destroyed. It is being betrayed by its own weight. The concrete, already stressed by the underwater blasts, gives way. The locks lose alignment. The steel rebar snaps like guitar strings. And then, physics takes over. Millions of tons of water are pushing against that wall. Gravity is the ultimate weapon. Once the integrity is breached, the water does the rest. The dam stops acting like a barrier and starts acting like a broken window in a submarine. 4:34 a.m. Inside the control room, the boards light up red. Hydraulic sensors scream impossible readings. The pressure drops to zero. Captain Sokolov watches the CCTV feed. He sees the wall of the spillway bulge and then dissolve. It isn't a leak. It is a violent, uneven release. Massive streams of water punch through the body of the dam from the inside out, eroding the concrete like sugar. What was designed to hold steady pressure is now being torn apart by its own hydraulic weight. In less than 2 minutes, the situation goes from critical to irreversible. The riverbed below the dam rises instantly. A wall of water, moving with the force of a freight train, sweeps downstream. Service roads are erased. Auxiliary power stations are flooded. Logistics warehouses filled with Russian supplies are washed away before an evacuation order can even be typed. 4:37 a.m. The Russian Regional Command raises the alarm to strategic emergency. But the military machine is paralyzed. The chain of command fractures. Nearby units receive conflicting orders. "Beef up air defense!" screams one commander, fearing a second wave of jets. "Secure the downstream bridges!" yells another, fearing a ground assault. "Retreat! Just run!" screams a third, watching the water rise around his boots. The reaction is chaotic. Pantsir batteries fire blindly into the sky at non-existent targets. S-400 radars try to reboot. Sokolov drops his headset. His boots are already wet. In that moment, Captain Sokolov understands something no briefing ever taught him. Wars aren't won by generals. They're lost by physics. But you cannot shoot water. You cannot intercept a flood with a missile. The water sweeps away the S-300 trucks parked on the low ground. It drowns the ammo dumps. It turns defensive trenches into mud traps. Russian units act not as an army, but as survivors. They flee, not because of enemy fire, but because the ground beneath them is disappearing. 4:40 a.m. The Russian Ministry of Defense initiates a localized media blackout. Internet access is cut. Commanders are banned from reporting losses on open channels. The priority is twofold: limit the physical damage and control the narrative. They want to hide the scale of the disaster. But internally, the reports are grim. The dam is gone. There is no emergency fix. You cannot patch a hole when the river is pouring through it at 1,000,000 gallons a second. By 4:52 a.m., the sun begins to rise over a changed landscape. Satellite imagery confirms the catastrophe. The flow exceeds all calculations. The dam has stopped being a tool for control. It has become a vector for destruction. Ukraine didn't just hit a target. They unleashed a force of nature. The destruction of the Nova Kakhovka complex is a strategic nightmare for the occupation. The reservoir that fed the cooling systems of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant is dropping. The canal that supplied fresh water to Crimea is drying up. The logistical road that ran across the top of the dam, a vital artery for moving tanks and ammo, is gone. Russia has lost a power source, a water source, and a road, all in 10 minutes. The Russian response was strong in intent, but zero in effect. They had missiles, radars, and troops. But those things are useless against a flood. Once the water is unleashed, you cannot intimidate it. You can only endure it. The strike on Nova Kakhovka teaches a brutal lesson about modern warfare in 2026. You can build defenses against planes. You can build defenses against tanks. But you cannot defend against physics. Ukraine used noise to distract the mind and water to break the back of the logistics. What happened next shocked the world. And it proved that in this war, the most dangerous weapon isn't always a bomb. Sometimes, it's gravity. Because what Ukraine proved here was something terrifying. They don't need to beat Russia's army. They just need to collapse the world it stands on. Subscribe for more updates.